Good evening, and welcome back to the chair. Tonight's story is one that still whispers in the dark. August 21st, 2015, on a train traveling from Amsterdam to Paris, France. The train car jolted as it raced along the tracks. A man in a black hoodie and dark jeans walked down the aisle, holding a partially visible object under his jacket. Passengers froze, eyes wide, some clutching children, others pressing against seats. A few screamed instinctively, fearing the worst. Bags shifted and tumbled from racks. Spencer's mind snapped into action. He lunged forward, knocking the object aside and throwing the man off balance. The gun clattered to the floor. The intruder froze as Spencer held him firmly. Within moments, the attackers were subdued. No shots fired beyond the initial struggle, control firmly in his hands. "I'm honored to have you here. Where are you watching from? Grab your favorite drink, and don't forget to subscribe to catch the new stories." The carriage quieted slightly, but the tension lingered. He moved among the passengers, ensuring safety, checking the corners, maintaining vigilance. There is no greater honor than saving another's life or sacrificing your own for someone else, he said later at a press conference. Words reflecting the reality of those critical minutes. His breathing finally steadied, but the intensity of the confrontation remained etched in memory. The attackers, once arrogant, now displayed confusion and defeat. Their momentum reversed entirely. Spencer had transformed a chaotic, potentially lethal situation into controlled resolution through instinct, skill, and unwavering focus. Every second mattered, every choice was critical, and the results were undeniable. Multiple lives saved, one threat neutralized, and a story of heroism preserved in the most authentic way possible. Even as he guided passengers to safety and ensured the attackers were restrained, he remained vigilant, aware that one small misstep could still escalate the situation. But for now, the immediate danger had passed. The train continued its journey, oblivious to the life and death struggle that had unfolded within its cars, leaving behind a man whose quick thinking, preparation, and calm under pressure had turned potential disaster into survival, marking a moment that would define him forever. Before the chaos erupted, Spencer had lived an unassuming life. A young man with a quiet demeanor, he had grown up valuing discipline and physical fitness, lessons instilled by years of structured training and personal dedication. Wrestling mats and martial arts studios had been as familiar to him as classrooms and sidewalks. He had pushed himself, honing reflexes, endurance, and strength, not knowing when the skills would matter beyond competitions or routine exercises. Every early morning run, every drill, every sparring match contributed to muscle memory that would now be called upon under life or death circumstances. Friends and family noticed his determination, though few could predict the intensity of the situation that awaited him. He had learned to remain calm under pressure, to assess threats and react without hesitation. Those skills, nurtured quietly over years, formed the invisible framework for his later heroism. The weight of responsibility had never been theoretical for him. It was ingrained in the discipline of training, the repetition of motions, the anticipation of opponents' moves. Even mundane tasks had taught patience, observation, and timing, small details that now became crucial in the chaos of the train. Beyond physical prowess, Spencer carried an acute awareness of human behavior, developed through observation and experience. He had learned to read micro-expressions, detect tension, and predict reactions. It was this combination of instinct, preparation, and observation that allowed him to process multiple threats simultaneously. Even as adrenaline surged, the attackers had no idea that they faced someone who had spent countless hours refining the coordination of mind and body. Each action he took during the confrontation drew directly from this foundation, pivoting, leveraging momentum, controlling angles, and neutralizing threats efficiently. These were not improvisations, but the culmination of practice under controlled conditions, applied flawlessly in a real scenario. He did not need to think consciously. Every reflex, every subtle adjustment had been rehearsed countless times in training. The memory of drills, the repetition of precise movements, the muscle memory developed over years, all of it converged in the narrow aisle of the train car. The chaos that erupted moments later would test every ounce of that preparation. Passengers screamed, bags toppled, an intruder raised a weapon, but Spencer's mind was a calm, calculating force. He moved with purpose, anticipating the attacker's next steps before they happened. Every instinct had been sharpened, every skill ready. The years of seemingly ordinary preparation, early mornings, martial arts sessions, hours spent building endurance and focus, were now the difference between potential catastrophe and survival. While the world outside the train cars remained oblivious, Spencer's body and mind operated in synchrony, a combination of training, intuition, and courage. This foundation explained the almost superhuman precision of his movements moments before, a quiet testament to years of effort, discipline, and readiness. He understood that heroism often emerges not from spontaneity, but from preparation, and that the calm, practiced reactions honed over years would determine the outcome of the crisis unfolding before him. In these minutes, his quiet dedication and relentless practice transformed into tangible action, each motion saving lives, each calculation averting disaster, and every instinct demonstrating the profound impact of preparation in the most intense real-world scenario imaginable. The intruder scrambled to regain his footing, eyes darting, scanning for any opening. Spencer moved instantly, intercepting the motion before it could become dangerous. Passengers clutched their seats, trembling, some shielding their faces, some frozen in disbelief at the precision unfolding before them. Every step Spencer took was measured, calculated, designed to control space and momentum. Another man attempted to rush from the opposite end of the car, weapon raised. Without hesitation, Spencer pivoted, redirecting the attacker's movement with a shove and a well-timed maneuver that left him off balance. Disarmed and contained, the gun skidded along the floor again, a metallic clatter cutting through the chaos. Screams, shouts, and the sudden thuds of bodies hitting the floor filled the carriage, but Spencer's focus remained singular. Neutralize the threat, protect the passengers, maintain control. Every instinct, every learned reaction, converge into flawless action. It wasn't a conscious decision. We didn't have time to think. We just acted, he had said in interviews, and those words played out in real time. Every motion a testament to training turned into instinct. A third attacker lunged, reckless, shouting, trying to intimidate, but Spencer anticipated the strike, guiding the man's force into the aisle, preventing harm to anyone nearby. Passengers scrambled, some seeking cover behind luggage and seats, their eyes wide, watching the confrontation escalate and unfold with precision. Spencer moved swiftly from one threat to another, each calculation instant, each step deliberate. Leverage, angles, timing, all utilized perfectly to maintain control without unnecessary violence. Another passenger whispered a prayer under his breath, clutching the arm of a friend, eyes locked on the unfolding struggle. Spencer's body reacted faster than thought, his hands intercepting, twisting, redirecting energy, ensuring no attacker could regain advantage. The attacker's initial confidence shattered, confusion and panic overtaking their aggression. One tried to reach for another weapon, only to be intercepted and held firmly, neutralized. The intensity of the confrontation escalated, every second filled with high-stakes decision-making. He maintained dominance over the chaotic space, channeling every ounce of training, strength, and observation into action. Sweat ran down his temples, but he remained composed, every breath controlled, every micro-movement intentional. The carriage became a theater of precise movements and controlled reactions, chaos constrained within the confines of skill and anticipation. Each attacker faltered more noticeably, their plans unraveling, every effort to regain composure failing against Spencer's relentless control. The sound of luggage sliding, seats tipping, and feet scrambling created a tense symphony, yet Spencer navigated it flawlessly, turning the environment itself into an extension of his strategy. Finally, the last attacker hesitated, assessing the situation, only to realize escape or resistance was futile. Spencer maintained control, restraining him efficiently, ensuring no further threat remained. The carriage slowly began to quiet, the immediate danger subdued, the adrenaline still coursing but now tempered by a sense of accomplishment and relief. Passengers breathed in unison, trembling, whispering thanks, eyes wide and all, every reflex, Every split-second decision had combined to prevent tragedy. Spencer's actions, rapid, precise, instinctive, had turned a potential massacre into a controlled resolution. In the aftermath, the reality of what had transpired began to sink in. Lives had been preserved, threats neutralized, chaos transformed into safety through focus, skill, and decisive action. Even as he moved among the passengers, calming them, checking the scene, ensuring no hidden dangers remained, he remained aware that every second mattered, that every motion could have meant the difference between life and death. The attackers, once aggressive and confident, now sat subdued, overwhelmed by the rapid, precise response of a man whose instincts and training had proven decisive. The carriage, once the scene of imminent disaster, was now a controlled space, and Spencer, at the center, remained vigilant, the embodiment of preparation meeting crisis. Each motion he had made, each split-second decision, had been guided not by thought but by training, reflex, and focus. The moment of confrontation had passed, but the echo of its intensity lingered, marking a turning point for everyone involved. Spencer had acted decisively, saving lives through skill, courage, and immediate, unhesitating action, creating a story of heroism etched into the memory of all who witnessed it. The carriage trembled again as the final attacker shifted, eyes darting, calculating his next move. Spencer didn't wait. Every fraction of a second counted. He lunged forward, intercepting the man's motion, guiding the energy harmlessly into the aisle. Another passenger let out a startled cry, clutching a friend's arm, but Spencer kept them protected with precise positioning, creating an invisible shield between danger and innocence. The gun lay skidding across the floor, a metallic reminder of the threat that had entered their lives moments ago. Spencer moved quickly, fluidly, covering every angle, ensuring that no other weapon could be drawn. The attacker attempted a desperate lunge, but Spencer's reflexes, honed through countless drills and conditioning, anticipated the movement, redirecting it with minimal effort and maximum control. The intruder stumbled, disarmed and immobilized, while passengers watched in awe, unable to comprehend the speed and accuracy of the actions unfolding before them. Each second stretched with tension, yet Spencer's decisions were instantaneous, precise, and unerring. He maintained control of the space, neutralizing every potential danger without overexertion or unnecessary force. Shouts and scrambling filled the car, but he filtered them, focusing entirely on the threats, his mind calculating trajectories, positions, and leverage points. The attacker's initial aggression had evaporated, replaced with confusion and fear. Spencer remained relentless, guiding movements, maintaining dominance over the chaotic environment. Every action, every adjustment of weight, every shift in stance was purposeful, the culmination of instinct, training, and the unyielding determination to protect the passengers. One attacker, panicked, attempted to regain the upper hand, but Spencer intercepted instantly, restraining him efficiently, neutralizing any chance of retaliation. The carriage had become a controlled arena, every potential hazard accounted for, every passenger shielded, every intruder subdued. Sweat ran down his forehead, but his breathing was steady, controlled. Each motion a testament to preparation meeting crisis. The adrenaline surged, yet he remained calm, his body and mind operating in perfect synchrony. The passengers, once terrified, began to comprehend the magnitude of what had occurred. Spencer had turned a situation that could have ended in catastrophe into controlled resolution. The last attacker, now fully subdued, looked around in disbelief, realizing their plans had failed completely. The carriage, once a scene of imminent disaster, was now under complete control. Spencer moved among the passengers, checking for injuries, offering reassurance, and maintaining vigilance. Each motion, each decision had been executed with precision, leaving no room for error. The immediate danger had passed, but the intensity of the confrontation lingered, a testament to the life and death stakes that had unfolded within the narrow confines of the train car. Spencer's actions demonstrated the critical importance of preparation, reflexes, and decisiveness in high-pressure situations. He had acted instantly, effectively, and heroically, saving lives through focus, skill, and unwavering courage. The attackers, once confident and aggressive, were now subdued, their momentum entirely reversed. Passengers whispered their gratitude, some shaking, some tearful, their lives forever marked by the courage and rapid action of a single individual. Spencer remained vigilant, knowing that one lapse could still be dangerous. But in this moment, he had achieved what few could: control, safety, and preservation of life in the midst of chaos. The carriage quieted, the passengers catching their breath, as the reality of what had occurred began to sink in. Spencer Stone, ordinary in appearance, extraordinary in action, had transformed terror into safety, instinct into decisive motion, and chaos into order, creating a story of heroism that would resonate far beyond the rails of that French train. The last intruder's movement slowed, hesitation spreading across his face as he realized the fight had turned completely against him. Spencer's eyes never left the threat, assessing every twitch, every subtle shift. He moved with precise timing, guiding the attacker to the floor, controlling him without unnecessary force. Passengers pressed against the walls, some gasping, some clutching each other, but none were harmed. Every motion of Spencer's was deliberate. He used leverage, balance, and instinct to neutralize the threat efficiently. A metallic clang echoed as a discarded weapon hit the floor, finally out of reach. The adrenaline coursing through his body was matched by laser focus, every decision critical. He blocked a sudden lunge, countered with a twist and push, and in the blink of an eye, the last attacker was pinned, restrained, unable to act. It all happened so fast. There wasn't time to think, Spencer would later tell reporters. But in that moment, he was fully aware of every variable, every angle, every risk. The remaining passengers began to exhale, relief mixing with disbelief. Some whispered thanks, others simply stared, their eyes wide, absorbing the reality of survival. Spencer scanned the carriage quickly, ensuring no further threats remained, guiding people to safer positions, calming the shaken. The attacker's confidence, once overwhelming, had evaporated completely, replaced by fear and submission. Every action Spencer had taken, every shift of weight, every block, every redirection of momentum, was grounded in training and experience, honed reflexes that translated seamlessly into life-saving action. The chaos that could have escalated into disaster had been contained, transformed into order through his rapid, decisive movements. He moved among the subdued attackers, checking for weapons, ensuring compliance, maintaining control. Sweat ran down his brow, but his posture remained steady, his breathing controlled, his mind still alert for any unexpected motion. Outside the train, the world continued unaware of the struggle within. Yet inside the carriage, lives had been preserved through courage, skill, and precise execution. One by one, passengers began to calm, whispering to each other, shaking off shock, grateful to be alive. Spencer's focus never wavered. He knew that one mistake could undo all he had done. The last moments of confrontation passed, leaving the attackers restrained, the passengers safe, and the immediate danger eliminated. He took a brief second to scan the scene, confirming stability, noting the aftermath, the overturned luggage, scattered belongings, and wide-eyed survivors. In that controlled chaos, Spencer Stone had acted instinctively and heroically, turning imminent threat into secured safety. The split seconds of action had resulted in a clear victory. No passenger harmed, all threats neutralized. The train would continue its journey, but those inside would carry the memory of those harrowing minutes, of the courage displayed by one individual who had stepped into danger without hesitation. Relying entirely on preparation, instinct, and sheer resolve, he had turned potential tragedy into survival, instinct into precise action, and fear into reassurance. The magnitude of what he had accomplished began to settle in as he guided the last passengers to composure, his presence a living example of how preparation and courage intersect in moments of extreme peril. The train finally settled into a quieter rhythm, the echoes of the struggle still lingering in the mind of the passengers. Spencer stepped back, shoulders heavy, heart still racing, but mind sharply focused. He surveyed the carriage, overturned luggage, scattered belongings, wide-eyed survivors beginning to whisper reassurances to each other. Every detail mattered. He moved calmly among the passengers, checking for injuries, offering quiet words of comfort, but mostly allowing them space to process the shock. Relief mingled with disbelief. They were alive, intact, protected by someone they had never known. Spencer leaned against a seat for a brief second, closing his eyes just long enough to let the adrenaline ebb slightly. The reality of what had transpired began to sink in, not in fragments or flashes, but in the full weight of comprehension. He had acted instinctively, decisively, and without thought for himself. Yet the impact of those actions would ripple through the lives of everyone in that carriage. Memories of training, of long hours spent honing reflexes, of repeated drills and disciplined conditioning, all coalesced into the singular purpose that had saved lives that day. Each motion, each adjustment, each calculated redirection of energy had been executed perfectly under extreme pressure. He thought briefly of the attackers, now restrained and powerless, and of the countless lives that had been preserved. Gratitude whispered among the passengers reached his ears, and for the first time, he allowed a hint of exhaustion to seep through, shoulders sagging slightly. The immediate danger was over, yet the weight of responsibility remained palpable. Spencer knew that those split seconds had defined the difference between catastrophe and survival. No one outside would fully understand the precise calculations, the instinctive timing, the muscle memory and mental clarity that had converged in those moments of crisis. He had not sought heroism, nor recognition, yet heroism had found its way through action alone. As the train carried them forward, the lights flickering along the aisle, he allowed himself to reflect. Fear had been present, yes, but controlled, transformed into vigilance and rapid, precise action. He considered the passengers' faces, the silent thanks, the tears of relief. It was a moment of clarity, a rare pause in a life usually defined by movement, training, and readiness. Spencer knew that this experience had altered him irrevocably. Nothing could return him entirely to the simplicity of life before the attack. The memory of adrenaline, the rhythm of calculated motion under threat, the awareness of vulnerability and responsibility would linger in every corner of his consciousness. Yet there was peace in knowing that preparation, instinct, and courage had aligned to prevent tragedy. He had faced immediate danger head-on and emerged not only unscathed but effective, transforming chaos into order. As the train continued its journey through the French countryside, Spencer Stone allowed himself to breathe fully for the first time in what felt like hours. The passengers began to settle, some speaking quietly to each other, others simply staring ahead, absorbing the reality of survival. He walked slowly to the next carriage, ensuring that calm prevailed, that fear had not taken hold again, that the aftermath was managed. Each movement was now deliberate, careful, reflecting the contrast between the chaos of the confrontation and the restored serenity. In those moments, he understood profoundly that courage is not a loud declaration, but a quiet, unwavering commitment to act when action is needed most. The adrenaline faded, replaced by reflection, and with it came the recognition that life could pivot in a heartbeat, that preparedness, vigilance, and presence of mind could create a difference between loss and survival. Spencer Stone had faced the unthinkable, and through skill, instinct, and decisive action, he had turned potential disaster into safety. He would never be the same. Yet he would carry the knowledge that in the most extreme circumstances, humanity, discipline, and courage converged to create moments of true heroism. The train moved steadily onward, each car a reminder of lives saved, and Spencer, walking along the aisle, knew that this experience would forever define the measure of action under pressure, and the quiet, powerful impact of being prepared when it mattered most.